So recently, some news came out that #1, MrBeast is struggling with the hate, and they went on to have a little bit of a wham, my life sucks, people don't like my show, a little rant with a guy we know, more Pegasus. We're gonna be talking about that, and then also the most recent episode of the Beast Games has dropped, and I had the displeasure of watching it yet again, as I heard that people weren't super big fans of the episode, and I get why. And so I want to cover that, and I also just want to touch on a few points that I hadn't made in my previous video talking about this, because I want to yap. I just want to yap, I'm sorry. Before we dive into this, I want to talk about the sponsor for today's video, Aura. Now, we're getting pretty close to approaching a year since the national public data breach where, you know, a measly 2.9 billion records were leaked, which included, you know, the full names, social security numbers, and addresses of over 170 million people. Now, personally, keeping that information private has been pretty important, not only for the job that I do now, but also because growing up on the internet, little Quinthio didn't see an issue using his whole ass government name as his gamer tag, let alone using my parents' home address on a website to get unlimited free gems in Clash of Clans. Don't look at me like that, I know you did it too. So not only do I have past me to blame for some of my info being out there, but everyone that has ever used the internet has to worry about data brokers taking a little bit of anything you've given them and selling it off to the highest bidder. Thankfully, with today's sponsor Aura, we can actually start cleaning up that digital footprint. So first big deal, Aura will help remove your personal information from data brokers and like those people search sites that can sell your info to identity thieves, scammers, and, you know, nasty folk like that. That's great, but one of my personal favorite features of Aura is that they actually monitor your personal data, like your social security number, and they monitor across billions of data points like public court records and the dark web in order to alert you if they find potential identity theft. And this is all rolled into the Aura app, which makes sure you get alerted in minutes when your credit file has been compromised. You can then instantly lock your Experian file with a tap to put a stop to whatever losers trying to buy a used pontoon with your credentials. It also comes with their own password manager, antivirus, and VPN to make sure all your bases are covered. On top of that, Aura will never sell your data to third parties. You can get all this in one app at one affordable price. If you want to keep yourself and your family safe from the next data breach, or worse, a used pontoon bought with your name and credit, you can go to aura.com/Quinthio to get 2 weeks free. Those 2 weeks will give Aura enough time to find out if any of your personal data was exposed. And lastly, very big thank you to Aura for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it. To get started, this is what more Pegasus had to say in regard to MrBeast messaging him and hopping on a call to whine about the fact that Pegasus gave him a pretty bad review.
Welcome to story time. I had a weird day yesterday. MrBeast randomly called me and he said that he's mad about my thumbnail. Essentially, I rated a show like a 1 out of 10 in my thumbnail. Most of my videos were kind of like reading other people's reviews that it's saying it sucks and sort of adding my own input. Don't get me wrong, I think it sucks too. But yeah, he's like, oh, it's such a harsh review. But I just kind of told him, like, if you want a better review, dude, make a better show. Like, he voiced his opinion saying that I should wait and watch the full show before judging it, but it's not out, so I'm not gonna do that, and I'm not watching a shit show, bro. Like, there's plenty of shows I quit episode 1 and then I tell everybody it's trash. All right, so I don't need to watch the whole thing to judge it, right? Is it my fault your show is ass, man? Like, I don't know what you want. I'm allowed to give my opinion. He said, yeah, you're allowed to give your opinion, but I don't know, the call was weird. Like, if I rate Breaking Bad 1 out of 10, am I getting a call from the creator? Is the star of the show gonna call me? Like, am I gonna get a call from Heisenberg, wake up in a ditch or something? I don't know, it's weird. I feel like you should just take the criticism and move on like a normal person. I did say I would give it another chance, and, you know, if it was actually a good show, I'd mention it in a video, but, you know, we'll see.
So to recap, Jimmy sends him a message over Discord with a screenshot of his thumbnail and goes, "That's such a harsh thumbnail, sad face. What did I do to you?" Weeping, "What do you want?" And then they had a phone call. I think that Pegasus should be honored to know that he is living so absolutely rent-free in Jimmy's mind that this is a thing that he does, that he reacts to a video that Pegasus puts out by genuinely letting it take up time in his day. Because that's a really cool thing that he's doing, where he's conflating his own sense of self with the show that he's, like, you know, helped produce. So he's either like incredibly insecure insecure or just, you know, for whatever reason isn't able to separate how his video does or like people's opinions of the show compared to the opinions that they hold of himself. It seems like he can't distinguish between those two things because he's out here talking to Pegasus about what did I do to you, as if it has anything to do with him, and more so just has to do with the fact that the show is ass. Or I should say that some people don't enjoy it. Personally, I'm not a big fan either, but I did see a lot of people in my comment section of my most recent video talk about that they did enjoy the show. I also think it's interesting that, you know, Jimmy is still reaching out to people that dislike him. I mean, he hasn't reached out to me, but I'm small peanuts compared to Pegasus and what he's done. But it leads me on to believe that, you know, when he's making posts or talking to people or this show and like how it's received, he really cares about these things because they're still very much tied to the identity of the company, and he wants these things to do well. And now it's just kind of like, it makes you wonder about each decision that is being made, how much of it is still a part of trying to repair his public image. I'm not here to, you know, really get conspiratorial. I'd like to hear what you guys think. It definitely was one of the thoughts that ran through my head, especially after seeing, you know, the philanthropy video and whatnot, but maybe that is a video for another day. But jumping back to the Beast Games show, most recently I had made a video talking about the Beast Games and my review of it so far, that just being the first 4 episodes, and there was a lot of back and forth in the comment section, which I was honestly happy to see. A lot of people were, you know, defending the show and the fact that they actually were really enjoying it, and that there were a lot of good aspects to it that they were able to enjoy. Now, with that being said, those points of views haven't necessarily changed my mind as to where I am, but they have given me a larger perspective to look at these things. This is an intense show, and if you're somebody who, you know, is more driven by their empathy or emotional responses to things like me here, it's easier for me to develop an opinion that's more, you know, heavily focused around those emotional ties. It doesn't make me more correct or more incorrect, it's just understanding more where I'm coming from. But to try to separate from that a little bit, I had watched the most recent episode, which contained the Navy SEALs hide and seek, and there was some more stuff. And for me, a few new complaints that I've recognized. Now, one of them is going to be emotional because they had a celebrity show up and kind of just laugh awkwardly while someone was getting voted off, and they were not happy about it. But also, just in terms of like a reality show like this, I think this episode itself really highlights where they've kind of fallen flat because of the size of their show. So it starts off with them doing the hide and go seek from the Navy SEALs here. And it's pretty intense, you know, they end up finding somebody, but then they move on to this next challenge where they start, you know, tossing coconuts up to this red line that you see on the right side, and whoever gets the closest is going to win, and whichever 2 are the furthest away will get eliminated. But on top of that, anyone who throws it past that red line just gets eliminated immediately. Again, they're just using another ball game, which again, they are using a ball and seeing how far you can throw it, but you know, it's whatever. I just feel like there could have been more creativity, maybe just a little. But the lead up into this, they're talking to the contestants and like, who do you think is the biggest threat here? Who could be the biggest threat to you in the long run? That kind of stuff. And so they go over it, they explain it, you know, they're singling out contestants, and all the while you're just kind of sitting there and watching. And the one person that people bring up that they're like, he is a weapon, all you can remember really is just the fact that he was a part of the group that won the potato sack race, which is hard against a bunch of people, don't get me wrong, but there are no stakes for a viewer to know like any of these people. And so when they try to set up these moments where they're like, yo, who do you guys think is a real, you know, challenger here? We have like nothing to go off of. The only skills that we can base like as a viewer going into this is like, oh, that guy can throw pretty good. That guy's pretty accurate at throwing a ball. This girl's really good at catching a ball. Or I'm sorry, maybe they are also good at stacking towers with toy blocks. Or the other side of it, which is like, I don't know, this person's really deceptive. They've lied a lot. But to get back to the point, there are just no stakes. They talk about this person that they're worried about being a perceived threat. And it comes down to these people, you know, throwing the ball and doing this is like, holy cow, this is super intense. And then people get eliminated, but there's just like okay, I mean, it's just like seeing hundreds of the other people getting eliminated, except we get a closer camera shot. And then you realize in the moment, as you're looking at them doubled over, I feel bad for this person, but I don't know who they are. There is like no development from the first couple of episodes to this outside of like some very loose, I guess, like plot points about these people. And really all it is just people being devastated that they lost, feeling bummed out because it's over for them now, and then going home. They even had a challenge where they were voting one of the people off. Like a bunch of people on a yacht were voting to get rid of someone that was participating in the challenge to win the island. They're talking about it, and it just comes down to one of the guys is super bulky and strong, and he looks, you know, terrifying. He looks like he's really athletic, and they feel like he's a threat because of that. A couple of people on the yacht also made a point that was like, he just really didn't make a lot of friends. He just kind of kept to himself. And they make a point that it's just kind of screwed up that the introvert is the one that gets voted off simply because they just didn't communicate or, you know, talk to enough people in a show where half of the time you're being forced to betray people that you do talk to. But my least favorite part, because I'm a soppy little guy, was this moment here where this guy who had won earlier and got to get on a helicopter to bring everyone here gets eliminated. And Lil Yachty is here for some reason. He just shows up, sips water, doesn't really know what's even going on. It was literally just introduced, you know, for us like a minute and a half ago. And so this dude gets eliminated. He's genuinely really upset, and it's really getting to him. And Lil Yachty just says some dumb shit like,
you know, I wanted it to pick for him.
Dang, dog, it's so crazy because it's like you almost didn't even pick two. Dang, dog.
Burn the flag. 413, you have been eliminated.
why was he there? Like, I get Lil Yachty just showing up. It's just like, you know, celebrity appearance. People are gonna watch it, but like, that was just brutal. Like, the dude was super upset about it. And then Yachty's like, yeah, dang, you almost didn't even eliminate yourself there. I don't know. That would just leave an incredibly sour taste in my mouth. It seemed like he really couldn't care less. And again, it just comes off as super detached. Like him and Jimmy are trying not to laugh while they're sitting next to this guy. He's super upset about getting eliminated. You know, again, just being a little wussy guy. Overall, it just kind of feels like we're starting to see why people aren't as big of fans of this show. Some of those earlier reviews are starting to make sense about how there's no real development of individuals, and it feels like we have no stakes as an audience member when we don't know anything about these people, and it's just too fast paced to really start to develop any sort of rapport between the audience and the contestants. All I can pretty much think of are the bad people that are competing and the villains and the people that have annoyed me. So far, that has been the biggest emotional reminder for who is who. But I'd like to hear what you guys think. Please let me know in the comments below if you agree, disagree with me, liking the show, it's getting better for you maybe, and I'll talk to you guys later. See you. Adios. Peace. Bye.